It's time for the first big Red Sox injury update of 2025. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin. Thank you very much for clicking on this video. Late night last night, but I'm still kind of on cloud nine with this Garrett Crochet extension. If you missed that, I'll pin the video with my full reaction to that extension in the comments down below. That was a late video, but that extension also got me thinking. There are a lot of players, or specifically pitchers on this team, that still haven't been able to make an impact due to injury. Where are those guys at in their rehab process? Well, that's exactly what we are going to look at today, because I figured with the off day too, this would be the perfect time to take a look at where everyone on the IL currently is and how close they are to making an impact. We got to start with Mr. Brayan Bello, because we did get an update from Brayan Bello recently. There are a couple of really great places to go for injury Red Sox news. In my opinion, the most frequently updated one is the link in the description from MLB.com. They do a great job updating it, but also Chris Cotillo put out an article recently that we're also going to link in the comments down below. But according to both of these, Brayan Bello is pitching today, ladies and gentlemen. He begins his rehab assignment with the Worcester Red Sox this afternoon when they play in Jacksonville. He's going to go 3 innings here for the Worcester Red Sox and then ramp himself up from there. Now, hypothetically, Brayan Bello could come back to the Boston Red Sox on April 8th. That's when his IL stint officially ends. It was 15 days at the start of the season, retroactive to March 24th, so 15 days from 24th. It's the 8th, right? Just trust the math on this one. I swear to God I did it correctly. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't really sound like that's where Brayan Bello is going to end up coming back. It does sound like he's going to be on the IL a little bit longer than that, not significantly longer, but a little bit longer, because according to this Chris Cotillo article and Alex Cora specifically, the goal with Brayan Bello is to get about 3 starts in minor league baseball before he rejoins the Boston Red Sox. Now, he is going to be going on essentially a normal starting schedule, so if he pitches today, he's also going to pitch Sunday, and then 5 days from Sunday, which I may not be good with this math. I think is that Friday, next Friday, is when he's going to get his 3rd minor league start, which would kind of put his comeback date, his rehab ending date, right around that April 16th-ish, right in that area, 15th, 16th, right around there. The idea here for Alex Cora and the Red Sox is they want Brayan Bello to build himself up a bit. Obviously, he didn't get any sort of spring training at all, essentially coming into camp with that right shoulder inflammation. So the idea here is, okay, we're going to start him today. He's going to go 3 innings. That's the plan for today. Then he's going to go on Sunday. Maybe he gets 4 innings, and then he's going to go, what would that be, Friday, I think? Makes sense, kind of. Then he would go Friday and he would get around 90 pitches, basically a full outing before he rejoins the Boston Red Sox. And I do think this is a smart idea, right? It would be kind of a bad idea to bring Brayan Bello back without any sort of rehab build up in his game, right? He'd go from basically 3 innings to, hey, we need you to go 5 innings against the best hitters on the planet. Still, kind of sucks that we aren't going to see Bello for at least a couple more weeks. I will say there is some good news here with Bello, and the good news is that there's absolutely no pain. He did an interview right before spring training ended. He talked about it. He's throwing without pain again. He feels good on the mound again. He wanted to come back that first week of April, which I have a feeling a lot of players want to come back essentially right when their IL stint officially ends, right? And they're legally allowed to come back in Major League Baseball, but unfortunately that's not going to happen. Still good to see that Brayan Bello is pitching without any issues at all, which is fantastic. So we're going to get a little glimpse of him today while the Red Sox are off. Maybe you could tune into the Worcester game. We'll see him Sunday, and then we'll see him next week, and then he'll be back with this Red Sox team probably around mid-April, which is right around where I think most people expected him to come back, right? I don't think anyone was really expecting him that first week of April. It makes sense that he's going to be a little bit. Still, only missing 2 or 3, maybe 4 starts to start the year based on what he had coming into spring training is still fantastic, right? It's still going to be a pretty solid season for Brayan Bello in terms of the amount of innings he's going to be able to get. So a lot of good news here with Brayan Bello. There are technically 2 other starting pitchers on the IL. We'll talk about Cutter Crawford towards the end of this video, but the other one making his way back is Lucas Giolito, right? We all remember Lucas Giolito on the 15-day IL with that hamstring on the very first pitch of his 2025 campaign. boy, was that brutal. But he is on his way back from said injury, and he's kind of in the exact same boat that Brayan Bello is. And what I mean by the exact same boat, I mean essentially the exact same timeline here. He is also going to get a start this week. In fact, it is going to be tomorrow, so it's Bello and Giolito back-to-back. He's also going to go 3 innings in this start, and of course, like Brayan Bello, he's also going to get 3 starts in minor league baseball. They're essentially on the exact same track back to the big league level. With Brayan Bello, it was Tuesday, Sunday, and then that Friday. So with Giolito, the assumption is obviously that it's going to be Wednesday, Monday, and then that Saturday, and then 5 days from there, he'll come back and rejoin the Boston Red Sox, which would put him, again, if Brayan Bello's the 15th, right around the 16th here. And again, the goal with this is to just simply get him a little bit of a minor spring training buildup, right? It's obviously not the 4 or 5 starts you were going to get in a normal spring training, but at the bare minimum, at least you can build yourself up a little bit so it's not 3 innings into 5 innings against the best hitters on the face of the planet. Lucas Giolito is pitching right now without any sort of pain, which is fantastic. I'm actually kind of surprised that it's taking Giolito this long to come back. It felt like a really minor injury when he got it in spring training. He's been pitching since that injury happened. He basically took, I don't know, a 2-day break here and then got back on the mound. So I have a feeling this is more so indicative of the Red Sox just wanting to be extra cautious here because of everything that went on last year with Lucas Giolito, as opposed to, hey, we really don't think he's going to be ready until this time point, right? I have a feeling he could probably be ready pretty quickly and only get 1 or 2 starts in minor league baseball. I think the Red Sox are being overly cautious here, but either way, between the two of these guys, I can't wait for these guys to come back, right? Yesterday, as much as Sean Newcomb was a fantastic story coming out of spring training, was a big reminder that, hey, spring training stats, they don't tend to be totally indicative of what a player can be in a regular season, right? But he ended up giving up 4 runs in the first inning and then nothing after that. So he did battle. The ceiling compared with Sean Newcomb and Lucas Giolito and Brayan Bello it's 2 different worlds, right? Getting these guys back is really going to put an oomph into this rotation that they kind of really need right now. The rotation hasn't been looking as good as I think all of us were hoping it would. Outside of the starters, obviously, there's other guys we need to talk about as well. And one of those guys is Liam Hendriks. And in my opinion, this was sort of the surprise IL stint that I didn't think a lot of people saw coming, right? He was put on the 15-day IL on opening day with what they were calling elbow inflammation. The good news here is that he got a cortisone shot because of said inflammation on opening day, basically. And then 3 days later, he was back throwing again with the Red Sox. So kind of feels like he's in a good spot. I don't know, though. I'm not totally convinced that this isn't going to be a bit of a longer thing. The actual diagnosis for this injury ended up being a compressed nerve in his elbow, which is messing with him. And to me, that just feels like something that's incredibly tricky to get back to 100%. Now, I'm just a lowly YouTuber, right? I just get on here as a fan and talk about Red Sox baseball. I don't have a medical degree, and I'm certainly not a professional athlete, so I don't know exactly what goes into fixing a compressed nerve, but doesn't it, as a pitcher, especially in your pitching elbow, especially coming off of a Tommy John surgery, feels like something that could be a little bit tricky to get back to 100%? I don't know. That's just my opinion here. And I think the Red Sox are going to be pretty cautious with this. In fact, I know the Red Sox are going to be pretty cautious with this because Alex Cora flat out said they are going to be really patient with this injury. Now, the good news here, with Liam Hendriks already kind of feeling painless and throwing again on the field, the IL stint shouldn't be incredibly long, right? With starters, you got to give them 5 days in between. You got to build up 3, 4, 5 innings. With relievers, you still got to build them up, obviously, but you could do that in a much shorter period of time. You can still get them 3 rehab appearances, but again, those are going to be what? 2/3 of an inning and a third, right? Over the course of 3 or 4 days. So I don't think he's going to be on the IL incredibly long. Again, like Bello and Giolito, he is eligible to come off the IL on the 8th. I think it'll be a little bit around then. I think it'll be more like the 10th, 12th, 14th in that range, but I don't think it's going to be incredibly long after that. Part of it, too, is that he was trying to battle through this in spring training. He said it had been bugging him the entire spring training, and it was something that he pitched through. The good news with that is that, hey, that could, be a reason why those statistics during spring training were, we'll say, less than ideal here, right? But at the same time, too, if you've been dealing with this for over a month here, and in his words, trying to pitch through it until it felt better, and it just simply hasn't been feeling better, I don't know what the rehab process for that looks like. Maybe the cortisone shot is all he needed to get it done. Maybe there's something else there. Maybe I'm just making things up because I know absolutely nothing about the medical field. Could be all three of those, couldn't it? But I don't know. I would expect him sort of minimum, I would say mid-April. I think maximum you see him towards the end of April. I don't think the Red Sox, like I said, they're going to be patient with him. We know that. And I think it's for pretty good reason. I think it's because the bullpen so far has actually looked pretty good, right? Yesterday you had Justin Slayton and Cooper Criswell kind of put out bad outings. But outside of that, everyone's looked really good out of the bullpen. There's no true, oh my God, how are we going to tread water until Liam Hendriks comes back type feeling right now in the bullpen. So I think they can right now afford to be extremely cautious with getting him back to Major League Baseball. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. Finally, in terms of sort of an in-depth update here, there is a Masataka Yoshida update. The mystery of the Yoshida IL just simply continues. We know he started the year or was going to start the year on the IL for a while. We know it's because of that shoulder issue, but recently it's been because of other things that he hasn't been playing. Basically, on opening day when he was added to the IL, the Red Sox also said, hey, on top of his shoulder here, he's also going back to Boston to deal with something with his back. And we didn't hear much out of that. It turned out it was just minor back soreness or tightness, depending on where you look. It's nothing super crazy, but it also prevented him from really starting his regular rehab assignment. Now, the original idea was for Masataka Yoshida to actually join basically Brayan Bello today as the team headed to Jacksonville and DH there until he could get back onto the field. That's been delayed a little bit, obviously, with the back thing, having him come back to Boston. The latest update we've got on Masataka Yoshida is that recently he did take 50 swings. Now, I have absolutely no idea to what degree those swings were taken. Was it off a tee? Was it dry swings? There's a whole bunch of different things here that could have been, so I don't know to what degree he's swinging, but he is doing 50 swings. This thing's kind of baffling to me, if we're being honest, right? The whole process with Masataka Yoshida is confusing the hell out of me, honestly, because the original plan was for him to go to Jacksonville and continue to DH, but at the same time, the whole goal and the reason that the Red Sox are saying Masataka Yoshida's on the IL is because of the idea that they wanted him to get his shoulder to a point where he could throw and field again, right? So why are we DHing him and starting his rehab clock if the whole goal was to make sure that he was ready to throw and play on the field, right? Wouldn't you wait until that shoulder was 100% ready and good to go throwing-wise before you put him on a rehab assignment? And he is throwing a little bit, right? He reached up to 90 feet in spring training, but not on a regular basis, so he's still a ways away in terms of throwing. Why are we putting him into Jacksonville and starting that 20-day clock? The more I talk about it, the more confused I get with Masataka Yoshida. It doesn't sound like he's anywhere close to coming back to the Red Sox. It doesn't really sound like he's even close to starting that rehab assignment that he was originally planning on starting. And even once he starts that, you got to get his throwing arm back up, according to the Red Sox. So I think we still at least have a month or so to go until we start having a conversation about where Masa is going to play on the Boston Red Sox. The literal only place you can put him is the outfield, but you got Duran, Cedon, and Wilyer out there. Plus, Roman Anthony already has, 3 home runs in the first, 4 games of Worcester's season. That dude is banging on the door of Major League Baseball, so you got to fit him in somewhere. And even with Cedon struggling, you got that defense. I don't know. This whole thing has been a gigantic mess with Masataka Yoshida, and it feels like they're just sort of kicking the can down the road here as long as humanly possible. But the latest update, again, sorry, I got on a giant tangent there, is that Masa took 50 swings the other day. The plan is for him now to start a rehab assignment and get that shoulder back to where he can throw. In terms of the other players on the IL, there's not incredibly in-depth updates on anyone else. Did I just whistle there into the microphone? Cutter Crawford still in Fort Myers. He's still not facing live batters. It really started to feel like this is going to be a 3 or 4 month rehab stint before we get any positive news about Cutter Crawford. Zach Penrod should be starting to throw again, which is fantastic, according to our friend here, Andrew Parker. Chris Murphy, he's on the mound again. His rehab's going pretty well. And Patrick Sandoval recently threw from 105 feet, which is sort of the closest step to getting back on the mound and starting to throw some sort of bullpen. So he's still on track to hopefully make an impact in the back half of this season. I think I got everybody. I don't know. Hopefully I got everybody, but let me know in the comment section down below which one of these injuries sticks out to you the most. Which one of these guys do you want back the most? Is there anyone Is there anyone you're overly concerned with right now? Let me know all your thoughts on this gigantic injury update in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Just simply helps out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you guys want to listen instead of watch these episodes, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.